The blue marble of Earth hung quietly in space when everything changed. It was a Tuesday morning when the massive alien ship appeared near the moon. No one on Earth had seen anything like it before. The ship was beautiful and terrifying at the same time, shaped like a crystal mountain floating through the darkness. Captain Jake Morrison was drinking his morning coffee on the space station when the alarms started screaming. He ran to the command center where everyone was staring at the screens. The alien ship was sending a message, and somehow they could understand it perfectly. "People of Earth," the voice said, calm and musical. "We are the Galactic Council. We come in peace. We have been watching your world for many years. You have grown wise and strong. It is time for you to join us among the stars." Jake felt his heart racing. First contact. This was the moment humanity had dreamed about for centuries. But he was also scared. The ship was huge, bigger than anything humans had ever built. If these aliens wanted to hurt Earth, there was nothing anyone could do to stop them. The alien introduced himself as Ambassador Zethkari from the Velthran Empire. He explained that the Galactic Council was made up of many different species from across the galaxy. They worked together to keep peace and help younger civilizations grow. Earth had been chosen to join them. Within hours, world leaders were talking to each other. Everyone was excited but nervous. President Martinez called an emergency meeting with all the top military and science people. They decided to send a small team to meet with the aliens and learn more. Jake was chosen to lead the mission. He had been a military pilot for 15 years and now commanded the new exploration ship called the Horizon. It was the most advanced ship humans had ever built, but compared to the alien vessel, it looked like a toy. The team included Lisa Hayes, who was the best diplomat on Earth. She spoke 6 languages and had helped solve conflicts between countries for many years. Colonel Sam Torres came along as military advisor. He was tough and smart, and Jake trusted him completely. Dr. Amy Foster joined them as the science officer. She was young but brilliant, and she knew more about space technology than almost anyone. The alien ship guided them to a meeting point near Jupiter. As they flew closer, Jake could see the ship was even more amazing than it looked from far away. The hull seemed to be made of living crystal that changed colors as they watched. Strange. Symbols moved across its surface like writing made of light. Ambassador Zethkari met them in a docking bay that was larger than most Earth cities. The alien was tall and thin, almost like a person made of clear stone. When he moved, light seemed to flow through his body. His voice came from everywhere at once, gentle but powerful. "Welcome, humans," he said. "You have traveled far to reach this moment. Your species shows great promise. We have watched you overcome wars, disease, and division. You have learned to work together and reach for the stars. This is why the Council has chosen you." The alien ship took them on a journey that lasted 3 days. They traveled faster than light, something humans thought was impossible. Jake watched stars blur past the windows like streaks of paint. Amy kept taking readings with her instruments, but nothing made sense. The technology was far beyond anything Earth had. They arrived at the Council station orbiting a gas giant in a distant solar system. The station was enormous, bigger than Earth's moon. Ships from dozens of different species flew around it like insects around a bright light. Jake saw vessels shaped like swords, others that looked like living creatures, and some that seemed to be made of pure energy. Inside the station, they met other council members. The Krillian horde sent representatives that looked like giant insects, with armor-plated bodies. At first, Jake thought they might be dangerous, but Ambassador Zethkari explained they were peaceful traders. The Zephyrian Collective appeared as beings made of shifting gas and light. The mineral lords looked like walking mountains of rock and metal. Each species told stories of how the Council had helped them grow and prosper. They shared technology and resources. They protected each other from dangers in the galaxy. Wars were rare because everyone worked together to solve problems before they became serious. The Council offered humanity membership, but there were rules. Earth would need to share information about their planet, military strength, and resources. This would help the Council protect them and plan for their future. In return, humanity would receive advanced technology, protection from hostile species, and the chance to explore the galaxy. Lisa Hayes asked many questions about the agreement. She was careful and smart, reading every detail. The Council members seemed patient and honest. They showed her records of other species that had joined successfully. They explained that sharing information was normal and necessary for everyone's safety. Colonel Torres was more suspicious. He asked about Earth's military and what would happen to human defenses. The aliens explained that Council members were protected by the group. Individual military forces were usually reduced because they were no longer needed. The Council's combined fleet was so powerful that no enemy would dare attack any member world. After many discussions, the human team agreed to the treaty. They signed it in a ceremony attended by representatives from 50 different species. Jake felt proud and hopeful as he put his name on the document. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. The journey back to Earth took only one day. The aliens had given them a small device that would let them communicate across the galaxy instantly. They also provided basic plans for improving human technology, medical knowledge that could cure diseases, energy systems that could power entire cities, transportation methods that could reach other planets in weeks instead of years. When they arrived home, the whole world celebrated. People danced in the streets. Scientists started working with the alien technology immediately. World leaders began planning humanity's future among the stars. Jake felt like he had been part of the most important moment in human history. The universe was vast and full of friends waiting to meet them. Earth would never be the same again, and that seemed like a wonderful thing. The future looked bright and full of possibilities. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger galaxy, guided by wise and powerful allies. What could possibly go wrong? 3 years had passed since humanity joined the Galactic Council, and Earth looked like a completely different world. Cities now floated in the sky, held up by anti-gravity technology the aliens had shared. The cure for cancer, heart disease, and dozens of other illnesses had saved millions of lives. People lived longer and healthier than ever before. Admiral Kate Brooks stood on the observation deck of Luna Station, watching the bustling activity around Earth's moon. Her job was to oversee what remained of humanity's space military. The Council had been right about reducing Earth's defenses. With their protection, the large battle fleets were no longer needed. Most of the ships had been converted into exploration vessels or cargo haulers. Kate felt mixed emotions about the changes. The technology was amazing, and Earth was prospering like never before. But something in her military training made her uncomfortable about having so few defenses. She kept these thoughts to herself, though. The Council had proven themselves to be good allies. Dr. Ben Clark was working in his laboratory in New Geneva, one of the floating cities. He spent his days studying alien technology and figuring out how to make it work with human systems. Every day brought new discoveries. The aliens had given humanity tools that seemed like magic just a few years ago. Ben was particularly excited about the terraforming equipment they were using on Mars. The red planet was slowly becoming green and blue. In another 10 years, people would be able to walk on its surface without spacesuits. Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, was also being transformed into a world where humans could live. Commander Alex Wright managed the new trade routes between Earth and other Council worlds. Ships came and went every day, bringing materials and knowledge from across the galaxy. Human art, music, and food were becoming popular with alien species. In return, Earth received technologies that would have taken centuries to develop alone. Alex enjoyed his work, but lately, he had noticed something strange. The aliens were very interested in Earth's history, especially military history. They asked detailed questions about human weapons, tactics, and fighting methods. When Alex asked why, they said it was for defensive planning. Every species needed to understand their allies' capabilities to protect them properly. Everything seemed perfect, but some humans were starting to worry. Captain Roy Davis commanded one of the few remaining exploration ships. His job was to scout new areas of space and look for interesting discoveries. What he found instead made him nervous. Roy had discovered 3 different solar systems where planets showed signs of recent destruction. Cities had been bombed from space. Millions of people had died. When he reported these findings to the Council, they told him these were territorial disputes between primitive species. The Council couldn't interfere in every conflict, they explained. Dr. Sue Morgan worked at a deep space research station near the edge of human-controlled space. Her sensors picked up massive ship movements in areas the Council had marked as restricted. Fleets of thousands of vessels were gathering in secret locations. When she asked about this, Council representatives said they were conducting training exercises. Sue didn't believe that explanation. She had served in Earth's military before becoming a scientist. She knew what military exercises looked like. And this was something different. The ship formations and movement patterns suggested preparation for a major attack. Captain Jake Morrison had been promoted to work directly with Council representatives on Earth. He spent his days in meetings, helping coordinate between human and alien governments. Lately, these meetings had become frustrating. The aliens asked for more and more detailed information about Earth's population, resources, and remaining military capabilities. Jake started to notice that supply deliveries from Council worlds were becoming less frequent. Communication with other Council species was being restricted. Human representatives were told this was for security reasons, but it felt more like isolation. Lisa Hayes was now Earth's primary diplomat to the Council. She lived on the Council station most of the time, working to strengthen the relationship between humanity and the alien alliance. But she was beginning to see things that worried her. In private conversations with other species diplomats, she learned that several civilizations had joined the Council in recent decades, then mysteriously disappeared from galactic politics. When she asked about these species, Council leaders said they had chosen to focus on internal development and didn't participate in external affairs anymore. Colonel Sam Torres had been put in charge of integrating alien technology into Earth's remaining defenses. The work was interesting, but he was troubled by how much the aliens wanted to know about human military thinking. They were particularly interested in Earth's strategies for defending the home planet against invasion. Sam began to suspect that the information sharing wasn't as mutual as it appeared. Humans were giving the Council detailed data about everything, but the aliens shared only specific technologies and limited knowledge. They always had good explanations for why certain information was restricted, but the pattern was becoming clear. The most disturbing discovery came from Amy Foster, who was now Earth's chief science advisor. While studying alien medical technology, she found something hidden in the genetic databases the Council had shared. The files contained detailed information about dozens of species that were no longer mentioned in Council records. Amy found genetic patterns, population data, and biological weaknesses for civilizations that supposedly didn't exist anymore. When she brought this to other scientists, they found similar hidden data in other alien systems. It was as if the Council was keeping records of extinct species for some unknown purpose. Despite these concerns, most humans remained happy with Council membership. Life was better than ever before. Disease was nearly eliminated. Energy was cheap and clean. Space travel was becoming routine. Earth was establishing colonies throughout the solar system with alien help. The floating cities were marvels of engineering that attracted visitors from across the galaxy. Human culture was spreading to other worlds. Earth's music, literature, and art were becoming popular throughout Council space. Everything appeared to be going exactly as promised. But in quiet moments, in private conversations, and in classified reports, a few humans were beginning to ask uncomfortable questions. Why did the Council need so much information about Earth's defenses? Where were the other species that had joined before humanity? Why were communication channels becoming more restricted over time? Admiral Kate Brooks found herself working late into the night, reviewing patrol reports and sensor data. Her instincts told her something was wrong, but she couldn't prove it. The evidence was all indirect. Strange ship movements, missing species, too many questions about human military capabilities. She began to quietly contact other military officers who shared her concerns. They started making backup plans and keeping careful records. If her suspicions were correct, humanity might need its defenses again sooner than anyone expected. The golden age of human-alien cooperation continued. But underneath the surface, tension was building. A few alert humans were beginning to realize that their new friends might not be as friendly as they appeared. The emergency alarm screamed across Europa Station as the damaged alien ship crashed through the ice field surrounding the mining facility. Commander Lisa Kane was in the middle of her monthly inspection when the impact sent shockwaves through the moon's surface. She grabbed her emergency suit and rushed toward the crash site with her rescue team. The ship was unlike anything in the Council fleet that Lisa had seen before. It was clearly Krillian, but this vessel looked ancient and battle-scarred. Burn marks covered its insect-like hull, and one wing was completely destroyed. Whoever was flying this ship had been in a serious fight. Lisa's team cut through the twisted metal to reach the pilot. The Krillian warrior inside was dying, his armored shell cracked and leaking strange blue fluid. These insect-like beings were supposed to be peaceful traders according to the Council, but this one carried weapons and bore scars from many battles. "Human," the alien whispered in broken English as Lisa knelt beside him. "Must warn you, Council, lies, they come for your world." Lisa felt her blood turn cold. She activated her emergency recorder and moved closer to the dying warrior. "What do you mean?" "The Council protects us." The Krillian's compound eyes focused on her with great effort. "No protection. They harvest. Always same pattern. Find strong species, make them weak, then consume everything." He pressed a small device into Lisa's hands. It was warm and pulsed with strange light. "Bioimplant. Contains truth. 17 species before you. All gone now. fed to the great machine. The alien warrior died before he could say more, but the device in Lisa's hands felt heavy with terrible importance. Lisa immediately contacted Dr. Amy Foster on Earth. Amy was the best xenobiologist humanity had, and if anyone could understand alien technology, it would be her. Amy arrived on Europa within 2 days, bringing her most advanced analysis equipment. The bioimplant was unlike anything she had studied before. It seemed to be part computer and part living tissue. When she finally managed to access its contents, what she found made her sick to her stomach. The device contained detailed records spanning thousands of years. The Galactic Council wasn't a peaceful alliance at all. It was a harvesting operation that had perfected the art of conquest through deception. They would identify promising species, study them carefully, then approach with offers of friendship and protection. The pattern was always the same. First contact followed by technology sharing and reduced defenses. The target species would become dependent on Council resources while sharing detailed information about their world and people. Once the species was sufficiently weakened, the Council would arrive with overwhelming force to harvest everything of value. Amy found records of 17 different civilizations that had followed this exact pattern. The Terran Collective had been powerful warriors with advanced weapons. The Council offered them peace and prosperity. Within 5 years, their entire species was enslaved or dead. The Sigma Republic had been brilliant scientists with incredible technology. They trusted the Council and shared their knowledge freely. Their worlds were stripped bare and their people used as research subjects. Each species had believed they were joining a galactic community. Each had reduced their defenses and opened their societies to Council influence. Each had discovered the truth too late to save themselves. The bioimplant also contained current intelligence about Council operations. Massive fleets were gathering in hidden bases throughout the galaxy. The target this time was clear: Earth and all human colonies. The invasion would begin within weeks. Amy immediately sent her findings to Admiral Kate Brooks and General Tom Hayes, head of Earth's Unified Military Command. They met in secret to review the evidence. The proof was undeniable. Humanity had been set up for conquest from the very beginning. General Hayes studied the invasion plans with growing horror. The Council had assembled over 3,000 ships from 6 different species, Valthron crystal vessels that could phase through normal matter, Krillian swarm fighters that attacked like living insects, Zephyrian energy ships that could drain power from enemy vessels. The fleet was massive and advanced beyond anything humanity had ever faced. Admiral Brooks checked their current defenses against the incoming threat. Earth's remaining fleet consisted of barely 200 ships, most of them converted exploration vessels. The space stations around Earth and Mars had some weapons, but nothing designed for major combat. Luna Station could probably hold out for a few days at most. The math was simple and terrifying. Humanity was facing a force 15 times larger than their own, using technology they didn't fully understand. The Council had spent 3 years learning everything about human defenses while carefully weakening Earth's military capabilities. This wouldn't be a battle. It would be a slaughter. Jake Morrison was called back from his diplomatic duties for an emergency briefing. When he learned the truth, he felt sick with anger and shame. He had been the one to sign the treaty that doomed humanity. He had trusted the Council's lies and helped them gain access to Earth. The timeline was critical. Long-range sensors had detected the leading edge of the Council fleet entering human space. They would reach Earth in approximately 3 weeks. There wasn't enough time to rebuild the military forces that had been dismantled. There wasn't enough time to develop new weapons or call for help from unknown allies. Emergency meetings were held with world leaders, but the options were limited and grim. Some suggested trying to negotiate, but the bio-implant records made it clear that the Council never negotiated once harvesting began. Others wanted to evacuate as many people as possible to hidden colonies, but there weren't enough ships or time to save more than a tiny fraction of humanity. The revelation changed everything humanity thought they knew about their place in the galaxy. They weren't the lucky junior partners in a galactic alliance. They were cattle being fattened for slaughter. The advanced technology, the medical breakthroughs, the floating cities, all of it was bait in an elaborate trap. Colonel Sam Torres was put in charge of preparing Earth's defenses for the coming invasion. He worked around the clock, trying to turn exploration vessels into warships and civilian stations into fortresses. But everyone knew it wouldn't be enough. The numbers were too overwhelming. Lisa Hayes returned from the Council station immediately, abandoning her diplomatic post. She brought with her additional intelligence about Council operations, but no hope for a peaceful solution. The Council, leaders she had worked with for years, revealed their true nature through casual comments about humanity's coming fate. Dr. Ben Clark stopped his research into alien technology and started focusing on weapons development. If humanity was going to die, at least they could make their enemies pay a price for the victory. He worked with teams of scientists to reverse engineer Council weapons and defenses, hoping to find weaknesses they could exploit. As news of the betrayal spread through human leadership, anger replaced despair. Humanity had been tricked and manipulated, but they weren't dead yet. If the Council wanted Earth, they would have to fight for it. And humans had always been very good at fighting when their survival was at stake. The countdown to invasion had begun. In 3 weeks, humanity would face its greatest challenge. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and caught completely off guard. But they still had one advantage the Council didn't know about: the human capacity for preparation and the willingness to do anything necessary to protect their home. Admiral Kate Brooks stood before the Emergency War Council in the deepest bunker beneath Luna Station. The room was filled with Earth's top military commanders, all of them looking grim as they faced the impossible task of defending humanity against overwhelming odds. But Kate had a secret that was about to change everything. "Before I begin," Kate said, activating the room's highest security protocols, "I need to remind everyone here that what you're about to learn has been classified above top secret for over 30 years. The penalty for revealing this information has always been life imprisonment. Given our current situation, I think we can overlook that concern." General Tom Hayes leaned forward in his chair. He had been Earth's top military leader for 5 years. But Kate was talking about operations that went back decades. "What are you talking about, Admiral?" Kate activated the holographic display in the center of the room. Instead of showing Earth's pathetic defense fleet, the image revealed something incredible. Hundreds of ships appeared on the screen, many of them larger and more advanced than anything the Council had seen from humanity. "Project Deep Strike," Kate announced. "A joint military and industrial program that began 43 years ago, long before first contact with the Council. We've been preparing for this day since before we knew aliens existed." The room erupted in shocked voices, but Kate held up her hand for silence. She changed the display to show a man in his 70s with steel-gray hair and intelligent eyes. "Director Paul Smith has been running this program since its inception. He's here today to explain how we're going to save humanity." Paul Smith stood, slowly, his age showing in his movements, but his voice strong and clear. 43 years ago, a group of military strategists and scientists came together around a simple idea. If humanity ever encountered a technologically superior enemy, our best chance of survival would be preparation, deception, and the element of surprise. The display changed to show construction facilities hidden throughout the asteroid belt. Massive factories had been carved into the largest asteroids, completely invisible from outside detection. Worker crews in sealed environments had been building advanced spacecraft for decades. We identified asteroid bases throughout the outer system, Paul continued. Each facility was designed to look like a mining operation or research station. In reality, they were shipyards producing the most advanced vessels human technology could create. Captain Steve Johnson, who had been silent until now, suddenly understood. The mining consortium, the one that always seemed to find the best asteroid claims and operated with unusual secrecy. Paul nodded. Captain Johnson, you've been selected to command the battleship Retribution, the first and most powerful vessel in our hidden fleet. You've actually been training for this command for 2 years without knowing it. Steve felt his mind reeling. His special assignment training, the unusual simulations, the classified technology courses, it had all been preparation for commanding humanity's secret weapon. Colonel Mary Clark had been listening with growing excitement. As Earth's top fighter pilot, she had always felt frustrated by the limitations of the exploration vessels they had been using since joining the Council. How many ships are we talking about? 50 heavy battleships, Paul replied. 500 advanced fighters, 200 support vessels, and that's just the beginning. Commander Bob Martinez, who managed orbital defenses around Earth, was studying the technical specifications appearing on the screen. These ships use technology I've never seen before. Some of this looks more advanced than what the Council has shown us. That's because it is, Paul explained. We never stopped developing our own technology after first contact. In fact, we used the Council's gifts to accelerate our own research. Every piece of alien technology they shared with us was studied, reverse-engineered, and improved upon. Hidden Fleet incorporated revolutionary advances that combined human innovation with improved alien concepts. The ships used adaptive artificial intelligence that learned from each battle, becoming more effective with every engagement. Their quantum phase weapons could bypass most known energy shields by existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Most impressive was the self-repairing hull technology. The ships could literally heal damage during combat, regrowing destroyed sections from reserve materials stored throughout the vessel. This meant they could stay in battle much longer than traditional spacecraft. But perhaps the most important innovation was the trans-dimensional communication system. Unlike the Council's faster-than-light communications, which could be intercepted and jammed, the human system used quantum entanglement to create truly secure channels that worked instantly across any distance. The Council thinks they know everything about human military capabilities, Paul said with a slight smile. They've spent 3 years cataloging our reduced fleet and studying our defensive positions. What they don't know is that we've been studying them just as carefully. The display showed detailed intelligence about Council ships, weapons, and tactics that had been gathered over the past 3 years. Human agents had been carefully placed throughout Council space, disguised as traders, diplomats, and researchers. They had mapped enemy fleet positions, identified command structures, and discovered weaknesses in Council technology. Every piece of technology they shared with us came with hidden monitoring systems, explained Dr. Amy Foster, who had been secretly working on the project. We've been feeding them false information about our capabilities while learning everything about theirs. Admiral Brooks took control of the briefing again. The Council fleet approaching Earth expects to find a weak, partially disarmed human force. Instead, they're going to encounter the most advanced and prepared defense force in galactic history. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. Humanity's known fleet would engage the Council forces in what appeared to be a desperate but hopeless defense. This would draw the enemy into the solar system and make them commit their forces to the attack. Once they were fully engaged, the hidden fleet would emerge from concealment and strike. Captain Roy Davis, who had discovered the destroyed planets, that first hinted at the Council's true nature, was given command of a stealth squadron. His ships would remain hidden until the perfect moment to strike at the enemy command vessels. Commander Alex Wright would coordinate the logistics of the operation. The hidden bases contained enough supplies and ammunition to sustain a long campaign. If the battle went well, humanity could potentially take the fight beyond Earth to Council space itself. Dr. Ben Clark revealed that human scientists had also developed new weapons specifically designed to counter Council advantages. Electromagnetic pulse devices that could disable the living computers used in Velthran ships, sonic weapons that disrupted the collective consciousness of Krillian swarms, gravitational mines that could trap the energy beings that powered Zephyrian vessels. The Council has made one critical mistake, Paul Smith concluded. They assumed that humans would react to technological superiority the same way other species have reacted. They expected us to become dependent on their gifts and abandon our own development. Instead, we used their technology to accelerate our own advancement while hiding our true capabilities. Lisa Hayes, who had recently returned from the Council station, provided the final piece of intelligence. The Council invasion fleet is commanded by Admiral Zethkari himself. He believes this will be a simple harvesting operation. Their ships are configured for planetary bombardment and population control, not ship-to-ship combat against an equal force. The War Council spent the next 18 hours reviewing battle plans and coordinating the defense. Every ship captain received sealed orders for their part in the operation. The hidden bases were brought to full readiness. The secret weapons were armed and prepared for deployment. As the meeting concluded, Admiral Brooks looked around the room at the faces of humanity's defenders. 3 days ago, they had been facing certain extinction. Now they had a fighting chance against the most powerful military force in the galaxy. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said, "in 2 weeks the Council fleet will arrive expecting to harvest a helpless species. Instead, they're going to discover that humans are the most dangerous prey they've ever hunted. Let's show them why Earth has never been conquered." The Council armada emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system like a cloud of death. 3,000 ships of various sizes and designs spread across space in perfect formation. At the center of the fleet, Admiral Zethkari's massive command vessel pulsed with crystalline energy that could be seen even from Earth. Captain Jake Morrison watched the enemy fleet on his screens from the bridge of the exploration vessel New Hope. His ship had been hastily converted with whatever weapons Earth's reduced military could provide. He knew he was looking at his own death, but his orders were clear. Make the Council think humanity was putting up a desperate last stand. "All ships, this is Admiral Brooks," came the voice over the communication system. "Remember, we need to draw them in close. Make it look real, but don't get yourselves killed unnecessarily. The cavalry is coming." Jake looked at his crew. They were all volunteers who knew this might be a one-way mission. Lisa Hayes sat at the communication station, having insisted on joining the fight despite her diplomatic background. Colonel Sam Torres occupied the weapons control seat, his face grim but determined. The Council fleet advanced slowly, confident in their overwhelming superiority. Admiral Zethkari broadcast humanity's surrender terms across all frequencies. His voice was as musical and calm as it had been during first contact. But now Jake could hear the cold arrogance underneath. "People of Earth," the alien commander announced, "your time as an independent species has ended. You will surrender immediately and prepare for relocation to designated labor facilities. Your planet's resources will be harvested for the benefit of the galactic community. Resistance is futile and will only increase your suffering." Admiral Brooks responded from Luna Station, her voice carrying defiance across space. "This is Admiral Kate Brooks of the Earth Defense Force. We reject your demands. Earth will not surrender. If you want our world, you'll have to take it." The first engagement began near Neptune's orbit. 200 human ships, mostly converted exploration and cargo vessels, faced off against the leading edge of the Council force. The enemy outnumbered them 15-1, but the humans fought with desperate courage. Jake's ship dove into the enemy formation, firing everything they had at a Krillian destroyer. Their makeshift weapons scored hits on the insect-like vessel, but its armor was too strong. Return fire from the alien ship punched through Jake's shields and damaged his engines. All around him, human ships were taking terrible punishment. The Council had expected some resistance, but they were surprised by the intensity of the human attack. These weren't the scared, helpless victims they had harvested before. These humans were fighting like cornered animals. Dr. Amy Foster coordinated the defense from a command bunker on Luna. Her screens showed the tactical situation as human ships pressed their attacks against impossible odds. They were losing ships quickly, but they were also learning valuable information about Council. Weapons and tactics. "The Velthron ships are vulnerable when they phase through matter," she reported to Admiral Brooks. "And the Krillian formations break apart when their command vessels are destroyed. We're gathering intelligence that will be crucial for the main engagement." Unknown to the Council, the battle was being broadcast live to hidden human bases throughout the asteroid belt. Captain Steve Johnson watched from the bridge of the battleship Retribution, his hands clenched into fists as he saw his fellow humans dying in what appeared to be a hopeless fight. "Easy, Captain," said Commander Bob Martinez from the tactical station. "Our time is coming. They're walking right into the trap." The Council fleet continued advancing, destroying human ships with methodical efficiency. Admiral Zethkari was pleased with the progress. The humans were putting up more fight than expected, but the outcome was never in doubt. Soon they would reach Earth and begin the final phase of the harvesting operation. But the human defense wasn't as desperate as it appeared. Admiral Brooks was carefully controlling the battle, pulling her ships back in stages while making it look like a fighting retreat. The Council fleet was being drawn deeper into the solar system, exactly as planned. As the enemy approached Mars, the next phase of the plan began. The planet's orbital defense stations opened fire with weapons that were much more powerful than anything the Council had seen from humanity so far. These weren't hastily converted civilian installations. They were purpose-built military platforms that had been disguised as research facilities. The Council fleet took significant damage for the first time. Several Zephyrian energy ships were destroyed by focused particle beams, and a Velthron cruiser was crippled by gravitational mines that appeared from nowhere. Admiral Zethkari was surprised, but not concerned. The humans had hidden some of their military capability, but it wasn't enough to change the outcome. The battle continued for 3 days as the Council fleet fought its way through the solar system. Human resistance was stronger than expected, but the aliens pressed forward with overwhelming force. They destroyed the Mars defense stations and continued toward Earth, leaving a trail of human wreckage behind them. Captain Roy Davis commanded one of the few remaining exploration ships, the Pathfinder. He had been playing dead for several hours, drifting among the wreckage of other human vessels. His orders were to observe and report on Council tactics and weaknesses. "They're getting cocky," he reported to Admiral Brooks on a tight beam transmission. "The formation is loosening up as they approach Earth. They think they've broken our resistance." This was exactly what Brooks had been waiting for. The Council fleet was now fully committed to the attack on Earth. They were deep inside the solar system with no easy retreat path. Their ships were spread out and focused on planetary bombardment rather than ship-to-ship combat. "All hidden units," Admiral Brooks broadcast on the encrypted command frequency. "This is homecoming. Execute Thunderbolt. Repeat, execute Thunderbolt." Throughout the asteroid belt and outer solar system, installations that had appeared to be mining facilities suddenly revealed their true nature. Massive doors opened in asteroid surfaces as battleships emerged from hidden bases. The secret human fleet that had been under construction for 40 years finally showed itself. Captain Steve Johnson felt his heart racing as the Retribution cleared the asteroid camouflage and accelerated toward the enemy fleet. His ship was 3 times larger than anything the Council had seen from humanity, armed with weapons that combined the best of human and alien technology. "All weapons charged and ready," reported Colonel Mary Clark from the Fighter Command Center. 500 stealth fighters launching now." The Council fleet suddenly found themselves surrounded. Human warships appeared from directions they hadn't even considered. The primitive, defeated enemy they had been casually destroying was replaced by a modern, well-equipped military force that outnumbered their own ships in the immediate combat area. Admiral Zethkari stared at his tactical displays in shock. Where had these ships come from? His intelligence reports showed that humanity had barely 200 vessels, mostly converted civilian craft. Now he was looking at a battle fleet that rivaled anything the Council could deploy. "All units maintain formation," he broadcast to his fleet. "This is some kind of deception. Humans cannot possess technology this advanced." But the first exchange of fire proved him wrong. Human quantum phase weapons punched through Council shields like they didn't exist. Adaptive artificial intelligence systems countered alien tactics faster than living commanders could adjust. The secret human fleet wasn't just large, it was more advanced than anything the Council had faced before. The first strike was devastating. The humans had positioned their ambush perfectly, catching the Council fleet spread out and unprepared for serious combat. In the first hour of fighting, over 300 Council ships were destroyed or disabled. The hunters had become the hunted. Admiral Brooks watched the battle reports with satisfaction. The trap had worked perfectly. The Council fleet was trapped deep in the solar system, surrounded by human forces they hadn't known existed. But she knew this was just the beginning. The real test would come when the aliens recovered from their surprise and brought their full power to bear. "All units, this is Admiral Brooks," she broadcast to the human fleet. "Phase 1 is complete. Now we show them what happens when you threaten Earth." Admiral Zethkari's crystalline features flickered with rage as he surveyed the battlefield around his command ship. The surprise attack had cost him nearly a quarter of his fleet, but he still commanded over 2,000 vessels against the humans' secret force. Numbers would tell in the end, and the Council had overwhelming superiority in raw firepower. "All units, reform battle lines," he ordered across the fleet communication network. Focus fire on the human capital ships. These primitives may have hidden their true strength, but they cannot match the combined might of the galactic community. The Council fleet began to regroup, their disciplined formations closing ranks as they prepared to crush the human resistance. But as they advanced deeper into the solar system in pursuit of the retreating human forces, they discovered that humanity's preparations went far beyond hidden battleships. Captain Neil Foster commanded the Mars Orbital Defense Network from a bunker deep beneath the planet's surface. What the Council had destroyed earlier were only the obvious military installations. The real defenses had been built into the planet itself over the past 3 years, disguised as terraforming equipment and civilian infrastructure. Activating primary defense grid, Neil announced as massive doors opened across Mars's surface. What emerged were not the mining platforms the Council expected, but enormous railgun batteries that had been hidden beneath artificial terrain. Each weapon was larger than most spacecraft and powered by the planet's geothermal energy. The Council fleet found themselves caught in a crossfire as Mars itself became a weapon. Railgun slugs traveling at significant fractions of light speed tore through alien shields and armor. The artificial gravity generators that had been lifting human cities now created gravitational anomalies that disrupted enemy formations. Lieutenant Emma Davis coordinated the Jupiter system defenses from Europa Station. The gas giant's moons had been transformed into a network of missile bases and weapon platforms, all connected by the quantum communication system that made interception impossible. "Europa batteries firing," Emma reported as the ice moon's surface split open to reveal vertical launch silos. "Ganymede and Io are launching their salvos now." Thousands of missiles streaked across space toward the Council fleet. These weren't ordinary explosives, but quantum phase warheads that could exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. They passed through energy shields and detonated inside enemy ships, causing devastating internal damage. The Council fleet pressed forward, but every step deeper into the solar system brought new horrors. The asteroid belt, which should have provided cover for their advance, instead became a death trap. Commander Jack Wilson activated the mining field defenses from his hidden command center. "Welcome to our asteroid belt," Jack muttered as he triggered the activation sequence. "Every rock you see has been our project for the past 3 years. What the Council had assumed were ordinary asteroids suddenly revealed themselves as fortified weapon platforms. Concealed guns emerged from false rock surfaces. Hidden missile silos opened in asteroid cores. The entire belt became a 3-dimensional minefield that could target ships from any direction. Worse still, the asteroids were mobile. Human engineers had installed engines and guidance systems throughout the belt, turning each rock into a massive kinetic weapon. Asteroids began accelerating toward Council ships, their tremendous mass making them impossible to stop with conventional weapons. Dr. Ben Clark watched the battle from Earth's primary command center, coordinating the defensive systems his teams had been building for years. Every piece of supposedly civilian infrastructure contained hidden military applications. The orbital elevator cables were actually ultra-strong carbon nanotube weapons that could slice through spacecraft hulls. The solar collection satellites doubled as focused energy beam weapons. "The beauty of our system," Ben explained to General Tom Hayes, "is that we turned our entire civilization into a fortress. Every structure, every installation, every piece of technology serves dual purposes. They're not just attacking our military, they're fighting our entire way of life." The Council fleet found themselves trapped in a nightmare scenario. They were fighting not just human ships, but the solar system itself. Every moon was a weapons platform. Every asteroid was a potential missile. Every civilian installation was a disguised military target. Admiral Zethkari realized with growing horror that the humans had used the 3 years of council membership to prepare for exactly this scenario. While pretending to disarm and become dependent on alien technology, they had actually been building the most sophisticated defense network in galactic history. How is this possible? He demanded of his intelligence officers. Our reports showed reduced human military capability. Where did this technology come from? His science advisor, a towering Krillian named Thekvar, studied the battle data with compound eyes that showed fear for the first time in decades. The humans have been reverse engineering our technology while developing their own innovations. Their weapon systems are actually more advanced than ours in several key areas. The revelation shook the entire council fleet. For thousands of years, they had maintained technological superiority over every species they encountered. The idea that these primitive humans had not only matched their capabilities but exceeded them in some areas was almost incomprehensible. Captain Steve Johnson pressed his attack in the battleship Retribution, his adaptive AI systems learning from every exchange of fire. His ship's quantum phase weapons were proving devastatingly effective against Council defenses, while his self-repairing hull absorbed damage that would have destroyed conventional vessels. Their shield harmonics are adapting to our weapons, reported his tactical officer. But our AI is adapting faster. Each shot is more effective than the last. The human advantage went beyond individual technologies. Their entire approach to warfare was different from anything the Council had encountered. Instead of the ritualized, formation-based combat favored by galactic species, humans fought with fluid tactics that emphasized speed, deception, and adaptation. Colonel Mary Clark led her fighter squadrons in attacks that seemed suicidal but were actually precisely calculated. Human pilots used the complex gravitational fields around planets and moons to perform maneuvers that alien pilots couldn't match. They attacked from unexpected angles, used debris and asteroids for cover, and coordinated their strikes with a precision that suggested shared consciousness. The key, Mary explained to her pilots over the squadron frequency, is that we know this solar system better than they do. Every gravitational field, every orbital pattern, every hiding place, this is our home, and we've spent years learning how to fight here. The battle raged for weeks as the Council fleet struggled against defenses that seemed to grow stronger with every passing day. Human manufacturing facilities hidden throughout the outer system continued producing new weapons and ammunition. Repair ships worked around the clock to maintain the defense network. Most frustrating for the Council was the human communication system. Their traditional tactics relied on jamming enemy communications and disrupting coordination between ships. But the quantum entanglement network used by humanity was completely immune to interference. Human forces maintained perfect coordination, while Council units found themselves increasingly isolated. Dr. Amy Foster achieved a breakthrough that changed the entire character of the battle. Working with captured Council technology, her team successfully hacked into the alien command protocols that controlled their automated systems. "We're in," she announced to Admiral Brooks with barely contained excitement. The Council uses standardized communication protocols across all their species. Once we cracked the encryption, we gained access to their entire fleet network. The effects were immediate and devastating. Council ships began receiving false orders that sent them into friendly fire situations. Automated defense systems turned on their own vessels. Navigation computers began providing incorrect coordinates that led ships into asteroid fields or planetary gravity wells. Admiral Zethkari watched in horror as his own fleet began destroying itself. Ships that had fought together for centuries suddenly turned their weapons on each other. His carefully maintained formation dissolved into chaos as vessels fled in random directions to escape their own compromised systems. "Cut all automated connections," he ordered desperately. "Return to manual control immediately." But the damage was done. The human cyber attack had broken the Council's most significant advantage, their superior coordination and technological integration. Now they were fighting as individual ships rather than a unified fleet, while the humans maintained perfect communication and coordination. The Sol Fortress had proven itself against the galaxy's most powerful military force. What should have been a simple harvesting operation had become a grinding siege that was destroying the Council fleet ship by ship. The humans had turned their entire solar system into a weapon, and they were wielding it with devastating effectiveness. As the weeks passed, Admiral Brooks realized that humanity had achieved something unprecedented in galactic history. They had not just survived the Council's attack, they were winning. The tables had turned. The wreckage of the Council invasion fleet drifted through the solar system like a graveyard of shattered dreams. Admiral Zethkari's once mighty armada had been reduced to fewer than 800 functional ships, most of them damaged and running low on supplies. The crystal being who had expected an easy harvest now found himself trapped in a solar system that had become his worst nightmare. Admiral Kate Brooks stood in the war room aboard Luna Station, studying the tactical displays that showed the complete reversal of fortune. Around her, Earth's military leaders faced a decision that would determine the future of both humanity and the galaxy itself. "We have them beaten," said General Tom Hayes, gesturing at the scattered enemy formations. "The question is, what do we do now?" Captain Jake Morrison, recently promoted after his heroic actions during the initial defense, voiced what many were thinking. "We could demand their surrender and send them home. Show the galaxy that Earth can defend itself." "And then what?" Admiral Brooks asked pointedly. "They go back to Council space, rebuild their fleets, and return in 5 years with 10 times as many ships? The Council has been harvesting species for thousands of years. This was our one chance to surprise them." Dr. Amy Foster, who had been instrumental in the cyber warfare victory, accessed her analysis of captured Council data. According to their own records, the Council maintains fleets at 17 different star systems. If we let this force escape, they'll warn the others about our capabilities. Any future attack will be prepared for everything we've shown them. The debate continued for hours, but Admiral Brooks had already made her decision. Years of military training and the bitter knowledge of how close humanity had come to extinction convinced her that half measures would only delay the inevitable. "The Council chose to make this a war of survival," she announced to the assembled leaders. "They came here to destroy our civilization and enslave our people. We have the ability to strike back and ensure this never happens again. I believe we have a moral obligation to protect not just ourselves, but every other species the Council might target in the future." The decision was made to launch Operation Prometheus, humanity's first offensive campaign beyond the solar system. Using captured Council ships and navigation data, Earth would take the fight directly to the enemy's home territories. Captain Steve Johnson was given command of the expedition force. His battleship Retribution would lead a fleet of captured and converted Council vessels supported by the most advanced human warships from the secret construction program. The fleet would target the Council's central command station and the home worlds of the most aggressive member species. The logistics were handled by Commander Alex Wright, who had spent years managing trade relationships with Council species. His knowledge of their supply lines and communication networks would be crucial for planning the attack routes. The beauty of this plan, Alex explained during the mission briefing, is that we'll be using their own ships and identification codes. We can move through Council space without triggering their early warning systems until we're ready to strike. Jake Morrison volunteered to captain the largest captured vessel, a massive Vaelthran command ship that had belonged to Admiral Zethkari himself. The crystalline vessel had been renamed Liberation, and its advanced technology would serve as the expedition's flagship. "There's poetic justice in this," Jake said as he familiarized himself with the alien ship's controls. The same vessel they planned to use for harvesting Earth will now be the symbol of their defeat. The preparations took several weeks. Human engineers worked around the clock to integrate their technology into captured Council ships. The quantum communication systems were installed to maintain contact with Earth. The cyber warfare programs that had been so effective in the solar system were loaded into portable units that could hack Council networks across the galaxy. Dr. Ben Clark led the technical team responsible for adapting human weapons to alien ship designs. The captured vessels were more advanced than anything Earth had built, but their weapons were designed for planetary bombardment rather than ship-to-ship combat. Human modifications turned them into dedicated warships. We're creating hybrid vessels that combine the best of both technologies, Ben reported to Admiral Brooks. Council ships with human weapons and tactics. They've never faced anything like this before. The expedition force consisted of 50 captured Council vessels, 30 human battleships, and support craft carrying supplies for an extended campaign. The fleet was smaller than the original invasion force, but it was commanded by officers who understood both human and alien technologies. Lisa Hayes joined the expedition as diplomatic advisor. Her experience on the Council station would be valuable for negotiating with liberated species and understanding Council political structures. "Our goal isn't just military victory," Lisa explained during the final briefing. "We want to break the Council's political control over the galaxy. That means offering alternatives to the species they've dominated for so long." The fleet departed from Earth orbit on a Tuesday morning. Exactly 6 months after the first Council, ships had appeared near the Moon. The journey to Council space would take several weeks, even using the captured ships faster than light drives. During the voyage, the human crews studied everything they could about their targets. The Council maintained its central command on a massive space station orbiting the Vaelthran home world. This station coordinated harvesting operations across dozens of star systems and contained the records of every species the Council had conquered. The first target was chosen carefully. The Zephyrian Collective operated a major fleet base in a system called Calyx 4. Intelligence suggested that 3 Council fleets were stationed there, representing nearly 1,000 ships. More importantly, the base contained fuel and supply depots that supported Council operations across an entire galactic sector. Captain Roy Davis led the advanced reconnaissance force in stealth ships that had been upgraded with human technology. His mission was to scout the target system and identify weaknesses in the enemy defenses. "The base is heavily fortified," Roy reported after a week of careful observation. "But their defenses are designed to repel attacks from outside the system. They're not expecting an assault by ships using their own identification codes." The attack on Calyx 4 was scheduled for dawn on the planet's primary moon. When the base's crew would be at minimum alertness, the human fleet approached using captured Council signals and navigation codes, appearing to be a routine supply convoy. Commander Bob Martinez coordinated the electronic warfare phase of the attack. As the human ships closed with the base, his teams began hacking into the station's control systems. By the time the Council forces realized they were under attack, their own defenses had been turned against them. All defensive platforms are under our control, Bob reported to Admiral Brooks via quantum communication. The enemy fleet is trapped in port with their own weapons targeting them. The battle for Calyx 4 was over in less than 4 hours. The surprise was complete, and the Council forces were unprepared for the coordinated assault. Most of their ships were destroyed while still docked. The survivors surrendered when they realized their situation was hopeless. More importantly, the humans captured intact databases containing detailed information about Council operations throughout the galaxy. Dr. Amy Foster led the intelligence analysis that revealed the locations of harvesting fleets, supply bases, and political centers. "This is incredible," Amy announced as she reviewed the captured data. "We now have a complete picture of Council operations. We know where every fleet is stationed, every supply line, every political weak point. We can plan surgical strikes that will cripple their entire system." The victory at Calyx 4 was just the beginning. Over the following months, the human expedition struck target after target throughout Council space. Each victory provided new intelligence and resources for the next attack. More importantly, they began encountering species that had been conquered by the Council and were eager for liberation. The Thorian Republic had been subjugated 50 years earlier. When human ships arrived in their system, the local population rose in rebellion against their Council overseers. Captain Johnson found himself not just fighting Council forces, but coordinating with alien resistance fighters. "These people have been waiting decades for someone to challenge the Council," Steve reported to Earth. "They're providing us with intelligence and support that we never expected. This isn't just a human war anymore. It's a galactic liberation movement." The campaign continued to expand as more species joined the human-led alliance. The Council's response was confused and ineffective. They had never faced a coordinated rebellion before, and their command structure was breaking down under the pressure of multiple simultaneous attacks. Within 6 months, the human expedition had liberated dozens of star systems and captured or destroyed most of the Council's mobile fleets. The galaxy's political balance had shifted completely, and humanity found itself at the center of a new interstellar order based on freedom rather than conquest. The crystal towers of the Council station hung broken and dark against the star field, their once brilliant light extinguished forever. Admiral Kate Brooks walked through the abandoned corridors where galactic policy had been decided for thousands of years, her footsteps echoing in chambers that would never again hear the voices of conquerors planning their next harvest. "It's hard to believe it's really over," said Captain Jake Morrison as he joined her in what had been the Council's primary assembly hall. The massive chamber where Admiral Zethkari had once presided over the fates of entire species was now empty except for scattered debris and the quiet hum of human life support systems. The final battle for the Council station had lasted only 3 days. The Vaelthron Empire's home fleet, the last major force loyal to the old order, had been systematically destroyed by human ships working in coordination with liberated species from across the galaxy. The crystalline beings who had initiated humanity's betrayal were now refugees on their own world, their empire shattered and their technology captured. Admiral Brooks activated her quantum communicator to address the gathered representatives of 47 different species who had come to witness the end of the Council era. The assembly hall filled with beings of every imaginable form, insectoid Krillians who had broken with their hive masters, energy beings from the Zephyrian collective who chose freedom over forced unity, and dozens of species that most humans had never encountered before. Today marks the end of 10,000 years of galactic tyranny, Brooks announced, her words translated instantly into dozens of languages. But more importantly, it marks the beginning of something new. Humanity didn't come here to replace the Council's oppression with our own. We came to offer every species in the galaxy the same choice: freedom to determine your own destiny. Captain Steve Johnson stood at attention near the former Council throne, representing the military forces that had made this moment possible. His ship, the Retribution, was docked outside along with vessels from 20 different species that had joined the Liberation Campaign. The sight of former enemies working together would have been impossible under the old system. Dr. Amy Foster presented the intelligence data that had been recovered from Council archives. We've identified 37 additional species that were harvested over the past millennium, she reported to the Assembly. Some were completely destroyed, but others were scattered to labor colonies throughout the galaxy. We're organizing rescue missions to find survivors and offer them new homes. The scope of the Council's crimes was staggering. Entire civilizations had been erased from history, their people enslaved or killed, their worlds stripped of resources. The database contained detailed records of each harvesting operation, including the deceptions used to gain each species' trust before the betrayal. But the data also revealed something more hopeful. Many species had survived by adapting to underground resistance or hiding in remote star systems. As news of the Council's defeat spread, these hidden populations began emerging from centuries of hiding. Commander Alex Wright coordinated the massive logistical effort required to establish the new galactic order. Supply lines that had once fed the Council's war machine were converted to deliver humanitarian aid. Former military bases became refugee centers for displaced populations. The challenge isn't just military, Alex explained to the Assembly. We're trying to rebuild an entire galactic civilization based on cooperation instead of conquest. It requires completely different thinking about how species interact with each other. The solution came from an unexpected source. The Thorian Republic, one of the first species liberated by human forces, proposed a federal system based on Earth's own historical development. Individual species would maintain complete autonomy over their home systems while contributing to collective defense and trade networks. Lisa Hayes, now serving as humanity's chief diplomatic representative, helped draft the charter for what became known as the Free Worlds Alliance. The document established principles that had never existed in galactic politics: voluntary membership, mutual defense, and protection of minority rights. Every species joins by choice and can leave by choice, Lisa explained to delegates who found the concept difficult to understand. No one is forced to surrender their independence to gain protection. We defend each other because we choose to, not because we're compelled to. The Krillian Horde became humanity's first major military ally after their warrior culture recognized the effectiveness of human tactics. Their insectoid ships began training alongside human vessels, creating joint squadrons that combined the best of both approaches to combat. General Tom Hayes established the Alliance Defense Academy on a neutral world where officers from different species could learn to work together. The curriculum emphasized the human principles that had proven so effective: adaptability, innovation, and coordination between independent units. We're not trying to make everyone fight like humans, Tom explained to the mixed species officer. Candidates We're teaching everyone to fight like allies who trust each other completely. The Velthran Empire, broken and defeated, presented a special challenge. Many of their worlds chose to join the alliance, but others retreated into isolation or attempted to maintain their old imperial structure on a smaller scale. Dr. Ben Clark led the technology sharing program that helped former council species adapt to the new order. Advanced Velthran healing technology was combined with human medical knowledge to create treatment centers throughout the galaxy. Krillian manufacturing techniques were merged with human automation to build the infrastructure needed for peaceful development. The irony, Ben observed, is that the Council's forced technology sharing actually made this possible. All these species already know how to work with each other's systems. We just needed to remove the element of conquest and replace it with cooperation. Captain Roy Davis commanded the exploration fleets that ventured beyond known space to contact species that had never encountered the Council. These missions carried a message that was revolutionary in galactic terms, an offer of friendship and trade with no strings attached. For the first time in galactic history, Roy reported from the edge of known space, we can approach new civilizations without hidden agendas. We're not trying to conquer them or harvest them. We just want to be neighbors. The transformation wasn't without challenges. Some species struggled to adapt to the concept of voluntary cooperation after centuries of forced submission. Others feared that the alliance was simply a new form of the old Council dominance. Commander Bob Martinez established the early warning network that would prevent future Council-style deceptions. The quantum communication system that had given humanity such an advantage was extended throughout Alliance space, creating an instantaneous alert system that could coordinate response to any threat. Trust is essential, Bob explained to Alliance security chiefs, but verification is equally important. We maintain the capability to defend ourselves and our allies, but we use that capability to protect rather than conquer. The orbital shipyards around Earth expanded to become the primary manufacturing center for Alliance vessels, but unlike the Council's centralized production, the new facilities were designed to serve the needs of all member species. Human engineers worked alongside alien designers to create ships that reflected the diverse requirements of a truly cooperative alliance. Director Paul Smith, architect of humanity's secret defense program, transitioned his skills to building the peaceful infrastructure of the new order. Hidden military bases became research centers where former enemies worked together to solve galactic challenges. The weapons that saved humanity from the Council are now being converted into tools for exploration and development, Paul noted with satisfaction. The same technology that won the war is helping us win the peace. Earth itself became the unofficial capital of the Free Worlds Alliance, but not through conquest or intimidation. Representatives from across the galaxy chose to establish their embassies in Earth orbit because humanity had proven themselves to be honest brokers who kept their promises. The floating cities that had once impressed Council visitors now served as models for peaceful development on worlds throughout the galaxy. The medical centers that had eliminated human disease were expanded to serve the needs of dozens of different species. Admiral Brooks remained commander of Alliance military forces, but her role had changed from warrior to protector. The fleets that had liberated the galaxy now served as peacekeeping forces and exploration vessels, always ready to defend freedom but never seeking to impose it. The Council taught us that the universe can be a dangerous place, she reflected, during the first anniversary celebration of Liberation Day. But humanity has learned that the best defense against tyranny is to offer everyone an alternative. When people have a choice between oppression and freedom, they'll fight to keep that choice. The galaxy had learned that while humanity might have seemed naive and trusting, they were perhaps the most dangerous species to truly betray. But more importantly, they had proven themselves to be the most reliable allies once trust was earned through honest action rather than deceptive words.